So what is AML CFT audit? This is the definition given by the FATF. In general, AML CFT audit is a dynamic, risk-based, independent oversight process that allows institutions to understand the effectiveness of AML safety controls. This includes determining whether the organization is compliant with applicable financial crime laws, regulation, and internal policies and procedures. In summary, AML safety auditor will perform following activities. They perform testing to assess the design and effectiveness of controls aimed at mitigating AML safety risk. They identify and escalate control weakness to senior business and compliance management. They coordinate with compliance and business groups to develop corrective action plans where control gaps are identified. They ensure that corrective actions have been implemented sustainably. But these are not exhaustive list. There are a lot of supporting tasks that auditors need to perform along with these larger tasks. Next, you are going to learn a very important concept, that is what you should expect from an AML safety audit. This will help you in drafting request for proposal for any kind of AML safety audit. First, a good AML safety auditor will understand nature of business or the salient feature of that organization. For example, does that institution have a very high cash intensive customer base? Does it send and receive large volumes of international fund transfers? Are there any imminent changes impacting AML risk, such as branching into new market or developing new products or service line? What types of AML problem areas have been identified in a previous examinations? AML auditors have a very good communication skills. They know that client and other stakeholders need their help, whether they want it or not. They really try to understand their needs and devise audit scope and objectives accordingly. They don't have a gotcha attitude, but really want to try to add value to the organization by identifying AML weaknesses. AML auditors will always look at AML governance. It is not a rocket science that without a strong culture of compliance coming from the board and the senior management, in other words, tone at the top, there is a likelihood of failure by control function, no matter how the second line of defense try to mitigate risk. Throwing all the money in the world into the controls without culture is a waste. Auditors will review risk assessment of your organization. If the organization has not performed any kind of AML safety risk assessment, they will perform risk assessment by themselves and identify risky areas. Such areas could include organization strategy, alignment of organization policy and procedure with applicable regulatory framework, customer onboarding and due diligence procedures, transaction monitoring systems and procedures. Hence, a risk-based approach should be adopted to determine the areas that should be incorporated into the scope and the design of these independent AML audits. Auditors will have a clarity in audit scope and what methodology to be applied during audit, like assessing the policies and procedures to confirm that the design of controls is appropriate and aligned with the regulatory requirements and expectation as well as industry best practices. Reviewing organizations' pre-existing compliance risk assessment and other self-assessment. Testing the effectiveness of controls through a sampling approach, like reviewing account opening and closing procedures, process of filing suspicious activity reports, AML training, and performing risk-based testing over key controls to evaluate their effectiveness. The resulting risk profile of these areas will drive the extent of testing coverage and helps auditor to formulate audit plan. Audit plan can be defined as a roadmap of potential testing areas or units that are each assessed and risk rated through the combination of qualitative and quantitative analysis. The universe should cover all relevant financial crime risk and other areas that may warrant potential testing coverage. Auditors will provide resumes or credentials of the individuals who will actually be on site performing the work. It is recommended that they possess certification like CAMS or CAMS-AUDIT or some kind of certification related to anti-money laundering. Auditor proficiency in respective legal and regulated framework is also necessary. However, a successful auditor will also possess industry-specific experience and a high level of commitment to the process. They should be knowledgeable and remain updated about new topics, trends, and requirements of anti-money laundering. Auditors will have embraced new technology like data analytics, which help them to identify more quickly the root causes of compliance shortfalls and help them to deploy resources to correct issues that can present the greatest risk. Auditor will provide reasonable time and cost based on the scope of assignment by explaining their logistical as well as manpower requirement. This should be decided before starting AML audit. Auditor will not only raise issues but also provide practicable and effective solution. They will recommend what course of action should be taken to protect organization from any kind of AML safety risk. During the review, auditor must critically challenge the entire AML program. One of the most important components of the independent review process is reporting all observations to the compliance officer so that officer can develop a remediation plan. The compliance officer should communicate the critical observation to senior management and track the remediation progress. If you are able to consider all those points as discussed, you will be able to select a best AML safety auditor for your organization. Good auditor not only helps to improve your AML safety program but also prevents your organization to suffer from any regulatory fines and penalties, which in turn reduces your reputation, operation, financial and legal risk. So, if you want to pursue AML safety audit as your career, or if you are thinking of conducting AML safety audit in your organization, then we have a course in Udemy, how to perform AML safety audit and a guide to CAMS audit, where we'll explain what is AML audit, how should you plan AML audit, how to perform AML audit in your organization, how to present your findings and recommendation, as well as follow up on the observation that you have found during your AML safety audit. We hope that you will find this lecture useful. You can find the link for this course in the description section below. Finally, make a right choice and call us for free consultancy at We Are Risk Simplifiers. Our expertise includes AML safety risk assessment, AML safety audit, and any other matters related to AML safety to help you manage AML safety risk of your organization easily and at a reasonable cost. Thank you for your time and have a nice day.